Long day. I know the Atlas can retain the impressions of powerful memories. But it still disturbs me to encounter one of my own. This map leads to a raw memory. A battle against an Elder Slayer. You might even see...
When I'm ready, and not before.
Welcome! Time has no meaning here. Your pain will be endless. Away with you! Vile! Sloth! I shall free you! Be judged! I thought myself better than you.
May the darkness spare you.
when I'm ready and not before.
Light is trying to spread.
I need more mana.
Let's put out new mycelium. New roots. Put out new mycelium! New roots! Let's put out new mycelium! New roots! Divine power. Put out new mycelium! New roots!
When I'm ready and not before.
It's branching, Exile! It's branching, Exile! It's put out new mycelium! New roots! The blight is trying to spread! Divine power! It's put out new mycelium! New roots! Put out new mycelium! New roots!
I need more mana. and not before.
Let's see what this tower can really do.
I need more mana. When I'm ready and not before.
Why, hello and welcome everybody. So today I wanted to go ahead and introduce you guys to my Path of Exile 3.22 Righteous Fire Inquisitor guide. So this go around we'll be playing Inquisitor instead of Juggernaut. Have no fear, Juggernaut is still fantastic, although I won't be updating, or I will be, there's not really much to update. I won't really be making a new video, but the POBs will all be updated. So before we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about the Inquisitor leveling. If you guys are familiar with the Righteous Fire Jug leveling, the Inquisitor is very similar. The main difference is you have a lot more damage throughout the campaign, specifically like Act 1 and Act 2. Inquisitor does get a little bit of a weak part, but that's between like 40 and 55, and we'll talk about that in about 14 seconds. All right, so a lot of people are going to ask about pros and cons between the two. So I've got a little bit of a list here, and of course, don't forget, if you are ever stuck, confused, or just want to know, over here on my website, pox.net, you can actually just utilize the FAQ to your advantage. So click on the FAQ, for example, type in Inquisitor in the search bar, click the question, and bam, I'll leave that for you guys though. Okay, so over here, Just talk about some quick pros and cons between Juggernaut and Inquisitor, just to flesh it out. Inquisitor's got faster leveling through the campaign. Juggernaut's pretty slow in Act 1. That's because we get a bunch of damage as Templar right away. It might feel a bit squishy from 40 to 55, but that's just because our big spike of sustain comes from Cruel Lab, whereas Juggernaut, it's Normal Lab. It's much easier on the colors, especially for newer players, because of the Inquisitor is armor ES, so that's kind of like blue and red, and we're like a tanky caster, right? So that fits us really well. Juggernaut is more like pure red. Cons, you need to press a button every 4 seconds. It's not really a super big deal as long as you are actively pressing buttons. It's not like you have to actually stop, you just have to perform an action. Even shield charge would work, for example. But if you're the type of guy who just holds down left click all the time, Juggernaut might be the answer for you. You've got more initial damage than Juggernaut because the Ascendancy naturally gives you a lot of damage in 2 forms of multipliers. Monsters take increased elemental damage, and monsters who are on top of your consecrated ground take essentially more damage from all sources. This can actually be much more beneficial for people who are always stuck in the very low, like, I don't really know how to say it, like, say you're level, like, 80 or something, your character will noticeably have a lot more damage than a Juggernaut, because by the time you're level 80, you don't really have a lot of gear, especially if it's a League start. So this is where this really makes the biggest appearance, I guess you could say. However, you do have a harder time breaking into red maps on the defensive side of things if you're the type of player who just wants to go face first into everything and not think. We do have a bit more of a transition. Juggernaut doesn't really have that. You kind of just stack armor the whole time, and then you have to build for damage. Inquisitor's kind of the opposite. It gets a lot more damage. We have to build offensively. Okay, so now that we're done with that, let's talk about what this character, what you can kind of expect. So you can absolutely get all 4 of your Void Stones, not a problem. Easy damage over time playstyle. As you saw kind of here, you just kind of run through the monsters and watch them burn. Over a 1.5k net recovery, which means we get to drop all of our life flasks in favor of utility, so you don't have to mash your buttons. Also, these flasks will be automated later. 80% plus max res, 30k plus armor, block and spell block cap, along with recovery. This makes you close to immortal when mapping if set up correctly, and doesn't have to cost a lot of money if you know how to build it. You get a mixture of life and ES, which to me adds uniqueness to the character. I love playing Path of Exile with all of the different things you can do in it compared to other games, so having that extra buffer of energy shield is definitely a plus for me. And then you get 50% innate curse resistance, which is granted via the consecrated ground, which makes mapping a smoother experience. Some of the cons, you have limited damage scaling. You can expect the average player to hit around 2 to 2.5 million DPS following this POB. The POB does go up to 6.5 million, and with very, very heavy investment, you can expect over 10 million, but I don't really participate in it that far. One of the other things is you are kind of melee on a lot of targets, especially if you want to make use of your consecrated ground. You do have to be very close to the target and kind of keep the consecrated ground underneath them, but as long as you're following the POB and gearing yourself correctly, this should not really be a problem. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and open the Path of Building. So now to open the Path of Building, here's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to go over to pox.net, which is located right over here in front of your guys' face, right? We're going to click the RF Inquisitor League Starter, so just click that button. From there, we're going to open up Path of Building, and we're going to hit New, Import, and paste it. Now, once you paste this, and also before we continue, there's also a RF Inquisitor walkthrough throughout the entire campaign. That's actually what's playing in the background right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just cancel out of that. We don't need it anymore. So if you want to follow that, you can find that located right here. We've also got a loot filter built in that you can follow as well. And if you prefer the more written version, I've got the Inquisitor guide written on PoE Vault along with the Juggernaut version. We'll be updating these in just a few days. Okay, so with that being said, let's close out of this and open up the POB. The POB pretty much handholds you all the way from level 1 to endgame. All you have to do is make sure you're matching the correct item sets. So for example, here at level 1 to 12, you want to make sure your skills are on 1 to 12 and your tree is on 1 to 12 as well. If you go ahead and take some time to look at some of the items, I've added some text onto majority of the items, I would say, to help players out with the early game. Make sure that you understand what you're looking for. Make sure you understand like what stats actually mean, right? So definitely for people who want to take it a little bit slower or just want to learn more about the game, this is here for you. So we already kind of saw what it's like to be level 1 through 12. right? Let's go ahead and show you what it looks like to be higher level. So that footage in the background you saw was during the leveling phase, so I think that's actually more like the 12 to 30. Let's talk about 55 to 70 when you finish the campaign. So over here at 55 to 70, one thing I will note is for players who are following that leveling video, there's a slight change I have made. Instead of coming down to Champion of the Cause for your Skitterbots, we won't be doing that anymore. We're just going to come up towards Breath of Flame, so very minor change. That's just to prevent a lot of respecking. So over here, let's go ahead and talk about the build. I've got an Opal Scepter of Burning. My loot filter highlights pretty much all blue scepters. I just picked this up off the floor, identified burn damage, and crafted fire damage. You're good to go for quite a while. I've got a +1 fire spirit shield. For players who want to be more tanky, consider using an armor-based shield. I've got just a standard armor ES helmet, nothing crazy here. Kind of going down the list. Very basic gear, nothing that crazy. This amulet has damage over time multiplier. Two of the big stats on amulet for damage would be +1 fire spell skills, +1 all spell skills, but that's very rare in 75 item level 75 plus, and damage over time multiplier. Okay, so with that being said, you can kind of see the tree here. I'm going to go ahead and log into that character. So this is the character who was in that video that you saw. I'm going to go ahead and jump right on into a quick map. This character is running really bad gear, like worse than the POB, far worse than the POB. So it should be fun to see what happens here. This character is running on a 4-link, so we've got Righteous Fire, Elemental Focus, increased area of effect, burning damage, and my single target is Fire Trap with Life Tap, Burning, Combustion, and Fire Trap. This should be trap and mine damage, not burning damage. Okay, one other thing to note is that this map's going to be really rough. This is on like a fully fleshed out atlas, so we've got Grand Design on, so we're running 50% pack size on this map. This character is not really ready for that type of content, so we're going to just sort of zoom our way through here. So your standard playstyle is going to be, for me, shield charging. When you find a big pack, hit your Infernal Cry and the pack blows up, kind of like that. Let's go ahead and put that button right, there it is. I don't like it on spacebar. All right, yeah. When you encounter a pack of blue monsters, what I like to do is use my flammability curse on them before I throw a fire trap. So here's a big pack, flammability, press my Infernal Cry, and kaboom. That way it doesn't feel like you're constantly throwing the sluggish fire trap. I try to really keep the fire trap more for a single target. RF along with just flammability is honestly enough to clear most of the mobs throughout like your journey playing Path of Exile. So here's a rare, I'll throw a fire trap at him, you can see the extra damage. Now as for your movement skills, I prefer shield charge, but there's nothing wrong with replacing that with, say, leap slam, lightning warp. You know, there's a lot of different things that people like to use. For your boss, throw your fire traps, curse him up, cover them in ash. You can use your frostblink to dodge out of the way as well. Okay, that character is pretty much done. You'll notice that even this character standing still here is rocking 600 life regen and a little bit of ES regen, maybe like 100, because the RF also sustains on the energy shield thanks to our beautiful Ascendancy highest path. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump off that character and go a little further into the POB. So now I'm going to go ahead and jump kind of to endgame here. So over here we've got 70 to 85, 70 to 85, and 70 to 85. Now when you're in this section here, this POB is rocking about 1.5 million DPS. Oops, I forgot to switch it there. Sorry about that. This is rocking about 1.5 million POB DPS. All I did is just flip these to 70 to 85 here. Now, this character's gear is pretty good. One thing to note is that a lot of people are going to be rushing their Void Stones. You can do Void Stones with half of this damage. It's not really a problem. You just have to understand how to do them, right? One of the other big things would be getting your single target online. So your single target comes from Essence of Horror on Elder Helmets. However, there's a little bit of info to add here. So number one, with Elder Helmets being more rare in the patch now, there's nothing wrong with getting a singular Essence of Horror, buying it off someone in trade, slapping it on a helmet that's armor based and using it. That still gives you 30% more elemental damage, which goes from a 4-link to a 5-link. And if you've done Betrayal League mechanic and you have +1 gems open, then just for a few more chaos, you can craft +1 area gems and get another +1 on your fire trap. This early damage really helps you progress, and if you're in Trade League, these are available to you. You don't have to start sinking a whole bunch of currency into your Elder Helmets for progression. I would say the Elder Helmet progression is more for getting Maven and Uber Elder out of the way.
Godslayer.
Like I said before, most of these items have a bunch of text on them, so you can kind of see. Another thing is, don't spend a crazy amount of money on items with chaos resistance early on. It's okay if your character's at, say, like 20% chaos resistance. I would even say that's totally fine. I like to go a little above and beyond because I hate chaos damage. One of the cool things that we get on Inquisitor is this Mastery on Armor ES. 10% of armor also applies to chaos damage taken from hits. This will help save your life against chaos damage, especially when your chaos res is very low. Okay, so now what I want to go ahead and do is kind of jump into a much more endgame character to kind of show you what endgame Righteous Fire will be like. So what I've actually done this go around is I have my SSF endgame character here, and I will be honest, it's a little bit unethical, but not all of my gear, just some of my gear is unethical. So for example, I have a kind of crazy dagger that I will actually be posting how to craft. For people who want to go far past league start, I've got an Ashes of the Stars, although I'm not.
I am surrounded by living corpses and dying Oriathans.
You know, get ready, get cozy, get your music playing. That's going to assist us on our as based on fun where you're playing from. Let's see, Pox, RF, YouTube, run. Now, one of the nice things about playing Inquisitor Righteous Fire for people is that you don't actually have to mule anything. So you don't have to make a witch, you don't have to worry about that whatsoever. So let's go ahead and go to options. Let's go to our item filter. If you clicked it and you hit follow, you'll see it right over here. So we are just immediately going to apply. Our game is going to freeze. Everything is good to go. Let's get started. So I'll do my best to plug a lot of info and tips as I kind of go through the guide. There is going to be a lot, so I hope you guys are ready for the journey. So you're going to get your Glacial Hammer. Go ahead and slap that into your gear. Now, there's not really a reason to kill anything here. If you want to, you absolutely could. We're going to slap in Elemental Proliferation into our Glacial Hammer. And we are just running right to Hillock. Wherever he is. Okay. For Hillock, I like to kite him counterclockwise. If you count him counterclockwise, or if you kite him counterclockwise, you don't really ever get hit. Especially with the chill on the Glacial Hammer.
I will disappoint him.
Okay, or the freeze. My god. Just like frozen from full life. See you later. I'm going to grab all of this stuff. You'll notice that that iron ring flagged on the filter. We're going to save that. We want that for later. The background is a little off. I mean, the black line here, don't worry about it. That's just technical difficulties. So I have designed a tab right here. We're not touching any of our SSF tabs. We just have this little one here, and we are going to save it. So I'm going to go ahead and vendor some of this stuff. Chat, real fast, could you guys give me the copy-paste from the jug? Actually, I guess it doesn't really matter too much. So there was a filter I had on my jug which had early int gear and movement speed boots. We don't actually need int gear on Inquisitor. We actually get a lot of int. So I'm going to take the rolling magma, and all I'm going to do here is just type NN. And all this is going to do is highlight runner. So NN for runner for movement speed boots. We didn't find any. So I'm just going to move on. It's also potentially a nice idea if you find a blue to snag a blue. We're going to want this later for some of our links. Remember, you can always peek into Path of Building, so I'll give a quick example here. So if you open up the skill section and you go to the 1 to 12 and you look here, you'll notice I'm running Rolling Magma Combustion LE Prolif, so you can kind of peek at the links ahead of time. The filter will also tag this stuff when it drops. So I'm going to go ahead and just snag the blue, and we're going to hold it to the side. And also check Nessa here and see if she has any coral rings. Coral rings are nice to buy, but we don't actually have enough wisdoms, so we're just going to go ahead and move on. So we don't really need the Glacial Hammer. We're taking that off. We do, however, want to use that LE Prolif, so I'm going to slap that on there. Yep, let's just get rid of this, and let's continue our journey. Elemental Proliferation is a support gem that gives us, I believe, chance to ignite. Does it also have that on there? Yeah, so it gives us chance to ignite with a chance to create this circle proliferation, which is really good for leveling. Basically, whenever you roll it, you see the mob, it's kind of like burning on fire and running. That's what the proliferation does. So you also notice that on the loot filter, we drop something that looks blue like this. If it's got a blue background, it's because it's linked with RBG. And you can vendor that for a chromatic, so that's just straight to the vendor. It's a little hard to remember all of this stuff on the loot filter because it's kind of defaulted on Neversink's side, so I'll do my best to try to explain it, but some of this stuff is just kind of natural, so I don't really think about it. Remember, you don't really need to kill everything. I just kind of like hiding until we have a big group of monsters, and then kind of just hit it. There's an MP flask here. We'll just go ahead and pick that up. Now, as we are doing this for the next league, we will not be interacting with Crucible at all, so we won't touch Crucible whatsoever. So now we're going to come across the most dangerous part in all of Path of Exile. That's right, the second zone, or I guess third, Mudflats. Now, if you've picked up any armor gear and equipped it, you're already kind of good to go. These mobs do crazy amounts of damage, and they also charge you. You'll notice I'm skipping this pack of zombies. You see this little shield here? That's because they are fire and ignite resistant. We're going to leave them alone. We'll be able to deal with them later, but for right now, we're skipping that modifier. So here we're just going to kind of peek a little bit and just sort of try to pull out those Roas. Otherwise, we're going to run in and they're going to charge us and we're going to die. You do want to kill pretty much any blue pack you fight, though. If you look at the XP from killing a blue monster, it's kind of crazy. So a lot of these white items that drop, you don't really have to pick them up. There's no harm in picking them up if you don't have anything equipped, because it will help you. So I'll also grab this leather hat here, and we'll go ahead and identify it. So what did we get? A little bit of life. That's not too bad. Rustic sash is okay. We don't really have a belt, although it doesn't do anything for us yet. It's still okay. In case you want to run Holy Flame Totem a little later. A lot of people don't enjoy rolling magma, so there is a section for Holy Flame Totem. That's where the physical damage on the belt would help. Oh, okay, we're gonna snag that. So you'll notice there that the loot filter flagged again.
Yes?
That's basically highlighting a 3-link that's usable for our build. So I believe this would be for the Holy Flame Totem variant. That's, I think, Added Fire, Holy Flame Totem, and Summon Phantasm. I don't remember if Templar gets all of those gems, though. Okay, and let's move on towards there. Alright, so we snagged it. We're going to go ahead and go through the submerged passage. Then we are going to just jump backwards. And we're going to go back to the vendor now, and we're going to search for NN for a runner. This is also when you want to go ahead and look for... Oh, also grab Flame Wall here. This is very big. Flame Wall and Frostblink. This is when you can, again, look for your desired links. I'm sure somebody in the comments will post a what's called a regex, so you can type it in. So here's, like, for example, a Twig Spirit Shield. I'm actually going to buy this because the colors are very good for Flame Surge for later. So that one we'll just put, and I'm going to weapon swap and put it on right over there. Actually, I'll just put it on right there. That's fine. Right, so search, and then there is nothing there.
My money is gone.
And again, you can look through here and snag a coral ring. I don't think there's anything wrong with buying them. She has quicksilvers? I have never seen that before. Also, these here, these goat horns, are incredibly strong. The reasoning on goat horns being incredibly strong is they roll with base damage to spells. So I'm actually going to snag this goat horn. And I kind of want to snag even this goat horn right here. And we'll use them later. Not now, but later. So I'm going to keep these to the side. And you'll notice now, remember I was telling you about this selling for a chromatic. When I vendor that, we get the chromatic. So let's go ahead and continue. I'm also going to grab that Flame Wall. It doesn't matter if it's linked or not. And I'm going to grab that Frostblink. Now we're going to go for Hail Rig. So Flame Wall, the main purpose of this is it's basically an extra link for your rolling magma. So you'll notice when we shoot the rolling magma, it looks like this. If we shoot it through the Flame Wall, it gets this added fire. It's kind of hard to tell, but it does a lot more damage, like a ton of damage. Boots there I could have picked up. Let's just go ahead and grab these. Why not? Perfect. Something that helps a lot of players, myself included, is using the attack without moving. What that does, you'll see when I click it and select it, makes it so that your character will not try to run to the target to cast. It will just simply cast. This can give you more control over your character. Alright, so there's the boss. So we'll just put down the rolling magma and kind of just go in. You can either go in a circle around him, or it's really up to you. There is like a sweet spot with rolling magma where you can hit twice, but I would say just prioritize trying to actually hit him. Hitting the target. Don't worry too much about that. So I like to log out here to save a portal scroll. So now we're just going to talk to Nessa, grab our Quicksilver. If you end up finding another one, you can absolutely use multiple Quicksilvers. Now over here, we're going to grab that Arcane Surge. And I'm just going to go ahead and slap it over here. It doesn't really matter what it's... Actually, just kidding. Let's put it with our Rolling Magma. There we go. Now, we are actually going to just vendor the gear unidentified, I think, for the transmutation shards. We're going to want those later.
A slave is not a man. A slave is not even worthy of
All right,
death.
now we have 2 goals. So goal number 1 is getting to Ledge, and goal number 2 is killing Dweller. You'll know that you're getting the Ledge when you see a... I don't know all of the zone like layouts. I know very few. Act 1 I know a little bit of. There's kind of like this ramp, sort of. I'll show you it when we come across it. I think it's actually right over here. It looks like it's right here. So if you have a portal scroll, drop your portal scroll now. If not, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. There's a coral ring. Let's grab that. Yeah, let's actually identify that as well. gas speed on it. Oh, got cold res. Here's a blue pack. Make sure you kill the blue pack. Grab some of these blue equipment so that we can vendor it later. Sorry, Crucible, not doing you. Alright. Combustion is after Brutus, right, chat? Okay, so we have 23 intelligence. These goat horns require 29. Redemption over here gives us intelligence, so we can use it efficiently. That guy has the fire and ignite res, so we are skipping him. Also, whenever your Arcane Surge is ready to level, you can go ahead and just right-click it, and it will stop it from leveling permanently. You don't have to do this. The reason I like to do it is that it prevents it. So basically, Arcane Surge, whenever you level it up, you have to spend more MP to get the buff. I don't really like that. So this is an essence of Woe. Woe gives spell damage. So we're going to go ahead and kill this guy. The spell damage can be crafted on a lot of different things, but the main purpose of this is we're going to use it on one of these goat horns that we found. So I'm going to just grab this, grab the life flask, save this to the side. Now I have 2 pairs of boots here. We're going to identify both of them, but first we're going to identify the rare, hoping for movement speed. We did not get any, so let's identify the blue ones. We did not get any, we got life. I'm going to go ahead and put them on. Let's also put on one of these new life flasks. Plate vest, we don't need the colors. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab Retribution. And now if you remember, we put down a waypoint, or a teleport. So we're going to go ahead and take that now.
Your brawn
So
is
first,
about
let's
to
clean
meet
up our
its
inventory a
match
little.
point. Give the warden my
Get rid of all this. We don't want it. Equip our ring. I'm going to use the Essence of Woe on this wand right here. We hit cold multi, fire. It's okay. It's nothing special. We're going to take off this, put it on, put our flame wall back, and then I'm even going to equip the goat horn over the shield. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put the shield in my offhand. Under this one right here. Good. I'm going to save the Glacial Hammer for later, and what we can actually do with the MP flasks is we can take off these 3, and we can do what's known as 3 for 1 to get a better one.
Let me embrace you.
And then, of course, since I don't have movement speed boots, I'm going to go back to the vendor, type in NN, and see if there's boots, and there is not. Let's continue. So this submerged passage here is going to take us directly to Dweller, well, close to Dweller, right? Again, if you don't have it, it's fine. You can just take the waypoint. It's not that big of a deal. I don't think he's over here. I'm guessing he's like down there, but let's just check. Yeah, he's down there. I'm guessing he's over here. All right. So there's the Arcane Surge trying to level. We're just going to right-click it, and now it's down here, and it will not level ever again. We do want to level the Rolling Magma and the Ellie Prolif.
Every death brings me life.
Those are cool gloves. We're going to take those. The reasoning I like these is it's the perfect colors and it's not on a weapon, so if we find a better weapon, we can immediately replace it. Even though we don't have the links on a weapon, but yeah, you get the point.
Ine Porta, Mother of the Dead, is this your land I walk upon?
Okay, here is Dweller. Down they go. Grab all the loot. I'm going to go ahead and relog and then vendor it. Yeah. And we are going to keep the gloves. In fact, I'm just going to equip them to make sure I don't accidentally screw it up. Good. Grab our extra skill point. And you can choose to go, this is up to you. If you want more damage, you can go Amplify. I'm going to go down into Discipline and Training and skip Amplify till later. Okay, let's continue our run. So look at your mini-map. We want to keep going the way that's unexplored here. We just teleported back to Ledge. Okay, there's another pair of boots. I'm going to identify them and see if we can get movement speed. Nope. Have our big life node here. Now for players who want additional damage, you can also go ahead and take Precision. It'll give you attack speed and cast speed. Attack speed will help you with Leap Slam that we can actually grab now, later, after Brutus, I think. And it will make your rolling magma feel better because you have bonus cast speed. Uh-oh, that's a little dangerous. Not have done that. I don't know if I really want to use my augmentation for trying to get movement speed. I think I'd rather just wait personally. I don't remember all the things alterations are used for vendor recipes. Yeah, so a lot of people are probably going to ask why I'm doing this with Inquisitor instead of Juggernaut, since a lot of people played the Juggernaut version last time. A lot of people are unaware that I played Inquisitor Righteous Fire for a very long time, and with Juggernaut's rework, I wanted to try out Juggernaut because it's new. But now that I've played a lot of Juggernaut, I want to go back to Inquisitor. I really enjoy it. They're both extremely strong builds with different defensive layers, and you can check out more on the website on pox.net. Okay, let's go ahead and grab some of this. So I can also grab these swords because we're going to go to another waypoint right here. There's a waypoint right in the front of the lower prison, and we can just vendor all of this stuff again. We won't be picking up this much loot in general. It's just that it helps get some of these transmutations we're going to need for later. I'm also going to go ahead and ID the boots again. Still no movement speed. That's okay. Alright, so over here we grab Combustion Support. This is extremely strong. I'll be replacing Arcane Surge with it. Get rid of all of this stuff. This shield we can keep. We might need the colors later. So I'm going to take this shield and just slap it right in here. Don't think there's anything too important here. We do have Life Tap in here, and we are going to need Life Tap. So I'm just going to grab one and start leveling it. Just leave it alone. Not too big of a deal.
Death will be much celebrated.
Let's search NN for runner. Nothing. Now I'll be skipping the lab trials just because it will take an extra like 20 minutes to do the lab trials. Maybe, well, not 20 minutes, a bit less, but feel free to do the lab trials at any point. It's not really important right now. In fact, with Inquisitor, I don't even ascend until quite a bit later compared to Juggernaut. Now, we're coming across Brutus soon. It's not a bad idea to have an extra MP flask. A lot of people who don't feel comfortable with rolling magma and kind of just spam it and get a little scared might want to have 2 MP flasks. So there is absolutely no harm in that. Is that a blue pack in there? No, shiny. Since we're frost blinking a lot, I'm actually going to go ahead and put the Arcane Surge with my frost blink. So the Arcane Surge is currently, let's see, where are you? Right over, well, that's the Frost Blink, and there's the Arcane Surge. And we don't want Life Tap because those literally don't work together. Some blue bombs. Some boots. Large empty flask. How nice. Put that on. Alright, time to go to Brutus. For some extra single target, you can also grab Light of Divinity. I probably won't be getting it for quite a while. And we actually found life and regen. I'm actually going to go ahead and equip those. Okay, if you're concerned, you can drop a portal ahead of time. This is going to be like the first boss we encounter. So what I like to do is aim the rolling magma directly in front of the flame wall. We want to aim like as kind of like as close as possible. Not necessarily as close as possible, but we don't want to overshoot on the boss. We'd rather undershoot so it hits multiple times. When he does that big slam from back and forth, you can Frost Blink behind him and you're kind of good to go. So let's go through the Warden's Chambers. Alright, perfect. And let's go ahead and teleport back. I'm going to ID this shield because it could get +1 fire. Okay, it's double spell damage roll. It's actually not bad. It's probably better than... It's actually still not better than that. Holy. The flat damage is just very strong. And let's ID these boots. We did not get movement speed. That's fine. So I'm going to vendor this, and this one. Let's keep the belt. When we get an extra wisdom, we're going to go ahead and identify it. And we'll probably use this ring for Merveil. Now, we should also be able to get Leap Slam here and Vitality. So I'll buy this. Let's go get Leap Slam. Leap Slam costs just a transmute, no problem. Slap that on there. Oh, that's right. We can't Leap Slam with this. Just kidding. No Leap Slam. If you want to go faster, use a Scepter. Scepters will allow you to Leap Slam. In fact, I think I am going to intentionally sabotage my damage just to Leap Slam because I'm a Leap Slam enjoyer. So I'm going to just use a random... This is not really very good. I'm just slapping it on this because it could get some good modifiers. And it got like 1 to 5 lightning dispels, for example. So that's good enough for me. So now I'm going to take the flame wall, put it over there, and we're good to go. Let's be a Leap Slam enjoyer. Vitality goes there. Perfect. Just fix my links after redoing some stuff. So Leap Slam goes here. Turn off that. Perfect. And if you are Leap Slamming, some nice things to know is that you can kind of use your Frost Blink right towards the end of the Leap Slam. You can also use it to help change direction. Here's a large life flask. We're going to go ahead and replace this little baby one. If you feel a bit slow, don't forget, this is where you can spec into Precision to get some bonus attack speed and cast speed. I have Flame Totem in the POB. It's in there if you want to look through it. I personally just don't care for it on Inquisitor. I have enough damage. Leather belt and greater life flask. Okay. This is already better than this because we're not doing physical. Yo, Alkaiser, thank you for the raid, friend.
Hi, Citron here with another video, and this is of course going to be about tattoos. It is the hottest new addition to Path of Exile in Total League, and really good. And honestly, I am absolutely loving it. It gives you so much autonomy, agency over your character, like just so much choice and customization options, and it really changes.
I cannot do this yet.
Lagi. Soll ich mit dir fix die Spülmaschine machen? Okay.
The Eternal Empire was built by sickened minds.
Ja, ne?
Godslayer. Godslayer. Good.
Come.
I cannot do this yet.
Your
Your death had more honor than your life.